welcome to the Pig and Whistle Tales from Azeroth. As always, here at the Pig and Whistle Weird and Stormwind, I go through a variety of subjects with regards to World of Warcraft. So grab a bottle or a pint, sit back and enjoy. This midweek podcast, we are going over Rate My Dungeon, and this is episode 5, I believe. And this isn't one that I'm looking forward to. It's Gnomeregan. God, Gnomeregan. Okay, that's... Yeah, I'll try and give it justice, but I don't know. It's just one of my least favourable dungeons, to say the least. So I will try and be very non-biased towards it, but it's going to be tough. So, Gnomeregan is located in the top left of Dunmoreau. It is a lot easier, certainly for Alliance, to locate it than Horde, although I do believe Horde have an NPC if you talk to them, allow you to be teleported to Gnomeregan, so it makes it for very quick access, I guess. I'm not sure where this NPC is, as I do not recall. I've not played Horde side, and like I said, I do not care for Gnomeregan at all, really. But, you know, it's there. So they do have access to it, and potentially even more so or even easier access, depending on where this NPC is located. You have 6 bosses with a potential 7, including a rare. These bosses are very much all spread out over the place, but you're mainly going to be killing... If you go through the normal route, or the normal run, as it were, you're probably going to be killing only about 3 of these bosses. The layout of the dungeon is very complicated. It is not linear at all. There are 200 different ways that you can go, and you can get lost. Very easily get lost. It is absolutely ridiculous how easily you can get lost in this place. It's multiple floors, multiple areas. So, like, you can go off to the left randomly down this hallway, and it will lead you to a boss. You didn't know that this boss was there. You didn't know that this entire, area was there. But it leads you to a boss. Feral Druids will be very familiar with Gnomeregan, especially those who played in Classic, as their best weapon was actually dropped from a boss in Gnomeregan. And it was their best weapon because it increased their attack speed by a certain amount. And it had 3 charges. So you had to farm multiple of these weapons for a Feral Druid. So I'm guessing Feral Druids got sick of this instance, in all honesty. But yeah, unless you're a Feral Druid, it is very complicated, the layout in the dungeon, essentially. You can easily get lost, and it is very much not user-friendly in terms of both experienced players and the newer players. The gear that you get in there is somewhat bland. Not bland. It's decent, but it's not going to be like, oh my god, this is the best item that I've ever gotten in WoW. It's a very good standard for the level range that it is, especially the Electro 9000 boss or whatever it's called, and Thermoplug gives some really good gear, such as a headpiece with Int and Spirit on it, as well as a mind control, I think it does. Some rings, Electro 9000 or whatever its name is, gives a sword, which is very nice for warriors or rogues or something, whatever. But very, very good. It's very decent gear. It's decent. Did it have a revamp? It did, but once again, the layout of the dungeon was not revamped. It was mainly the bosses. It kind of explained the quickest way through the instance with the quests that were put into the instance. So at the start, you're giving a small parachute to jump down to go towards the water boss, and then you kind of have to somewhat linear from there. But once again, you have to go round a massive circle, jump off again. It's really ridiculous on how... What's the best word to put it? Weird it is in terms of its structure. It really isn't linear. How non-linear it is at all. Like, that's what I don't get. There is no way that people can navigate this place 100%, I swear. It's absolutely ludicrous. But the bosses were revamped, not too much. I'm pretty sure there was just a slight model update, nothing too crazy. But yeah, it's not the most enjoyable dungeon, I will say. It is something that I did once in Classic just to get the experience from. And looking back on it, Gnomeregan isn't that bad. It's more the player experiences that I've had with it. I've had hunters that have been real pieces of work, we'll just say. People don't know where to go, what to do, and generally you don't want to spend too much time in Gnomeregan. It's not a fun place atmosphere-wise. It's not a great, environment to look at or listen to the soundtrack and stuff compared to other dungeons, obviously. What would I... Oh my god, all of my words just collapsed into one there. What would I rate it out of 10? It's really tough not to be too harsh on it because of my past experiences, but that usually comes from other people. The dungeon itself, the layout is just horrendous. It's really unfriendly to those who don't have an idea of the dungeon or haven't done it before. Honestly, 3 or 4 out of 10. The boss loot is good, but it's the layout that really lets it down. There's too many avenues to explore. Like, I get the odd couple, which is fine, but there's this way, that way, up, down, left, right, north, south, east, west, wherever you want to fucking go, you can go there. You can go into Ironforge probably from Gnomeregan. I wouldn't put it past the damn dungeon. It's absolutely insane. But yeah, I've got to go with 3 or 4. The loot brings it back a bit, and that's kind of what gives it its 3 or 4 value. But the layout just kills the dungeon for me. It's very unfriendly to those who want to experience a linear dungeon, but not a linear dungeon at the same time, if that makes sense. Like, they want to have some sort of exploration, but this is too much. And especially as one of the first dungeons that a new leveling player will come across, it's very complicated and you can easily get lost. But that is it for this week. Thank you all very much for listening. Tune in on the Patreon for ad-free content, as well as Twitch and YouTube. There's a lot of stuff and content going on up there. Once again, thank you all very much for listening, and go with Valor, friend. Goodbye all.